Hello and welcome to another exam paper walkthrough. Today we are looking at the Edexcel past papers. We're looking at November 2020. It was a really nice series of papers back then. And this is the calculator paper, the 3H. Attached to the description to this video, you will find a link to a Google Drive where you can download a copy of this paper. I would strongly recommend you've either done the paper beforehand or do it alongside the paper. To get the most out of the video. I have some music on in the background, so you're more than welcome to as well. And if you find the video useful, please do subscribe if you like. Okay then, question 1. Simplify n to the power 3 times by n to the power 5. Well, we're going to just add the powers, so that's going to become n to the power 8. I'm just going to change. I don't like that paint colour. Got purple. So that's going to be n to the power 8. For the next one, simplify. So c cubed divided by c squared would just be c. And then d to the power 4 divided by d to the power 3 would become d to the power 3. So we're just looking at c d to the power 3. Solving an inequality. So we keep the inequality symbol and treat it like an equation. So times both sides by 2. So 5x is greater than 14. Divide both sides by 4. So x has got to be greater than 14 over 5, which would be 1 and 4/5. Can we go decimal there if we wanted to? Okay, question 2. Andy cycles a distance of 30 kilometers at an average speed of 24 kilometers per hour. He then runs a distance of 12 kilometers at a speed of 8 kilometers per hour. Work out the total time Andy takes to give your answer in hours and minutes. Okay, so speed is equal to distance divided by time. So we want to work out total time for both of these. So time is going to be equal to distance divided by speed. So in effect, we want to add together 30 over 24 plus 12 over 8. I'm going to do it just like that, really. And then I'll convert it into hours and minutes afterwards. So fraction button, 30 over 24. And I want to add to it 12 over 8. So that gives me 2.75, which would be I'll say 2.75 hours, which is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. So 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, question 3. Numbers rounded to one decimal place. The result is 9.4, complete the error interval. The smallest that could be would be 9.35, and the largest that would be 9.45. And using inequality symbols, we write it like that. Okay, question 4. Maisie knows that she needs 3 kilograms of grass to make a rectangular lawn 5 by 9 meters. Seagrass is sold in 2 kilogram bags. Maisie wants to make a rectangular lawn 4 by 14. She has 5 boxes of grass. Has she got enough? I was just kind of looking for a shortcut. So 3 kilograms will do 5 by 9. And I'm going to leave it like that for now. If 10 kilograms was a multiple, we could do it. No, we won't. So this covers an area of 45 meters. She wants to cover an area of 10 by 14, so she wants to cover an area of 140 meters. So in effect, 1 kilogram, if 3 kilograms covers 45 meters squared, then 1 kilogram would cover 15 meters squared. So she has 5 boxes of 10, so she's got 5 times 2, she's got enough to cover 10 kilograms. she's got 10 kilograms worth. 10 kilograms would cover 150 meters squared, sorry. She needs 140 meters squared, so has she got enough? Yes, she has 10 meters squared spare. And part B, Maisie opens 5 boxes of grass seed. She finds that 4 of the boxes contain 2 kilograms of seed. The other box only contains 1 kilogram of seed. Does she still have enough? So she's now only got 9 kilograms. 9 kilograms. Let's cover this down here. 9 kilograms would cover 9 times 15 would cover 135. I was just reading it. She doesn't have enough now. So my answer would be no, but then actually it says, does this affect whether she has enough grass seed for her lawn? Yes, it does affect. She does not have enough now. Full stop. I'm going to say she is 5 meters squared short. Okay, question 5. Amanda has 2 fair 3-sided spinners. Complete the probability tree diagram for each. So this is the nice 2 marks, fairly straightforward. I'll give it in terms of fractions. So spinner A lands on a 2, 1/3, doesn't land on a 2, 2/3. Spinner B lands on a 2, 1/3, 2/3, 1/3, 2/3. Nothing more complicated than that. 2 marks. There's normally part B that's a bit more complicated though. Work out the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on a 2. So we're only after one specific branch here, which is quite nice. They can ask a lot more complicated, but this is fairly nice. So we're only after lands on a 2, does not land on a 2. So we're only after that branch, which is going to be 1/3 times by 2/3, which is going to be 2/9. Okay, question 6. I use the graph to solve the simultaneous equations. So let's just double check that they are correct. That is the graph and that is the graph. So all we're after is the interception of them. So the intercept when x is equal to -2 and when y is equal to 4. Just reading it off a graph, nothing more complicated than that. Part B. Okay, use your graph to find an estimate for, and again, this is quite a nice one. This is the exact same equation, so we're just really intercepting it with y is equal to 0. So your solutions for x would be x is equal to, it looks like 0.6, or x is equal to 3.4. Okay. Question 7. Here is the total. There's a total of 48 boys in a choir. The mean age of the 18 boys is 16.2. The mean age of the girls is 27.6. Mean age of the 27 girls is 16.7. Calculate the mean age of all 45. So, if the mean age of the boys, we've got 18 boys. The total age of the boys is going to be 18 times by 16.2. And the total age of the girls is going to be 27 times by 16.7. And we want to do that and divide it by the total number of boys and girls, which is 45. And again, I don't tend to overly complicate this. I would type it in like that into my calculator. I've written what I'm going to type in. I then type it in. Double check that I've typed everything in correctly. and I have typed something in wrong, that I've typed in 162 rather than 16.2. So let's go back and change that. 16.2, and I've added a decimal there where I shouldn't have. That looks more like it, 16.5. So 16.5. Okay, question 8 then. There are some counters in a bag. Table shows probability the counter taken from the bag. The probability that the counter taken from the bag will be red is 5 times the probability will be yellow. 300 counters in the bag, work out the number of yellow. Okay, so in effect what I'm going to do is I'm going to say probability of red is 5 times more than yellow. So if I call that x and I call that 5x to start with, those probabilities need to add up to 1. So if I add those up together, I'd have 6x plus 0.52 is equal to 1. So 6x has got to be equal to 0.48. So x has got to be equal to 0.7. So 0.48 divided by 7, sorry, divided by 6 gives me yeah, 0.08. I've made a mistake there. So probability of it being yellow is 0.08. So the number of yellows would be 300 times by x, which would be 24. Okay, question 9. Cross-section of a prism has exactly one line of symmetry. Work out the volume of the prism. So that one line of symmetry is trying to give us some information in a way. That's going to be the only line of symmetry. So that's going to have to be a 40-degree angle there as well. So the only thing that we need to work out the volume is the area of this triangle. We don't have the height at the moment, so we need to work out the height. We do know the base length is 10, and h is what we're trying to work out, and we know this angle. So we're going to be using a bit of trig to work out this. I'll treat it as a right angle triangle. I'll call that side 5. And if that's 40, that becomes the opposite, and then this becomes the adjacent. So we're using the tan ratio. Opposite over adjacent. We want to work out the opposite, so the formula is going to be opposite is equal to t times a. So the height of this is going to be equal to tan of 40 times by 5. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. So to work out the volume of this shape, it is going to be equal to the area of the cross section, which would be 12 times by 10, plus the area of the triangle, which would be a half of 10, the base, times by the height, which we don't know just yet. And then once I've done that, I need to times that by the height. The length. I'll put that in bracket. That would be the cross section times by 20. And this is the point where I would probably go to my calculator because I don't like overly complicating things. So this is going to be tan of 40 times by 5. So that's going to be my height, but I knew it was going to be a decimal. So what I want to do is 12 times by 10 plus 0.5 times by 10 plus my last answer. And then I want to times that whole thing by 10. Oh, thank you. Let's look at that again. I think I made a mistake typing something in there. So tan of 40 times by 5. So that's my height. So what I want to do is, and I'll do the whole thing there, 12 times by 10 plus 0.5 times by 10 times by my last answer, and I want to times that whole thing by 20. And I've typed something in wrong again. Too many brackets, I think. There we go. So the total volume of that shape then is going to be 2,819.5498 ... And I want it to 3 significant figures. That's the third significant figure, so it's going to be 2,820. Okay, question 10. A person's heart beats approximately 10 to the power 5 times each day. A person lives for approximately 18 years. Work out an estimate for the number of times a person's heart beats in their lifetime. Given your answer in standard form, correct 2 significant figures. So in effect, what we want to do is 81 times by 10 to the power 5. So I'd call that so let me rewrite that because I've written it terribly. So the number of times it beats a day is 80 to the power 5. The number of days in a year is 365, and then that's in a year, and then we're looking at 81 years. So I'm now going to bring in some estimation. So I'm going to say 10 to the power 5 times by 400 times by 80. That's going to become 10 to the power 5 times by 4 times 8 is 32 with 1, 2, 3 zeros. And then I've got to convert that into standard form. That's going to become 3.2 times by 10 to the power. I've moved that 4 places plus the 5 there, so to the power 9. So I would go 3.2 times 10 to the 9. So 2 times 10 to the 12 red blood cells have a total mass of 90 grams. Work out the average mass of one blood cell. I've given your answer in standard form. Okay, so to make that easier for myself, kind of easier for myself, I'm going to convert that into standard form and call that 9 times by 10 to the 1. So I want to do the total mass, work out the average mass of one red blood cell. So I want to do the total mass divided by the number of blood cells. So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. And then my index part, 10 to the 1 divided by 10 to the 12 becomes 10 to the 1 minus 12. So it would be 10 to the minus 11. That's a nice standard form question. Okay, question 11. Diagram shows triangle P on a grid. Triangle P is rotated 180 degrees to make triangle Q. Triangle Q is then translated 5 minus 2 to give triangle R. Describe fully the single transformation. Okay, so let's do the transformations. So first of all, 180 degrees about the origin, so that point would move to there, that point would move to there, and that point would move to there. So that's my first transformation, and I'm going to call that Q. Q is then translated by 5 minus 2, so 5 across. So I'll pick this point, 2, 4, 5, minus 2. So that becomes my shape. double check that I've done that right. 5, 2, 4, 5, minus 2, minus 2. Okay, so what we're going to have is a rotation of 180 degrees again. The point of rotation, though, is slightly up for debate. Not up for debate, needs to be worked out. For a 180 degree one, the most straightforward way is to join like points. So that point and that point I like. And then do that again. Okay, and I'm just going to move this one slightly better placed. Okay, and I could do that for all of them. I've not drawn it particularly accurate, so my diagram looks slightly out. Let's try and get it as close to as I can. It's actually going to pass, so I'm looking for a rotation of 180 degrees about the point, and the point is going to be 2.5 minus 1. Under the transformation that maps P onto triangle R, the point A is invariant. Let me just look at that. Under the transformation that maps P to Q, the point A is invariant. Write down the coordinate of A. The only invariant point under a rotation is the point of rotation, so that's got to be 2.5 minus 1. That would be the only invariant point for a rotation. Okay, question 12 expresses a single fraction in its simplest form. So I'm going to put them over the same denominator. So my combined denominator would be x plus 3, x plus 2, x minus 4. To do that, I need to times this fraction by this denominator. So x times by x times by x plus times by x minus 4 plus 2 lots of, and I need 2x times this fraction, x plus 2. So let's tidy the top line up. That would give me x squared minus 4x plus 2x squared plus 4x, all divided by x plus 2 times by x minus 4. And then I can tidy that top line up a little bit, and I've mismultiplied there. Those two parts would cancel, so I'll just be left with 3x squared over that denominator, x plus 2 times by x times by x minus 4. And then part B, expand and simplify, triple bracket. For triple bracket, I would always expand the first two parts. So I'm just going to look at expanding 2x plus 3 times by 4x plus 5 to start with. So 2x times 4x would give me 8x squared. And then that would give me 10x. That would give me 12x. And then that would give me plus 15. Tidy up my middle two terms. So I've got 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. And I need to multiply that by my third bracket then. So I need to multiply that by x minus 3. I tend to, when I'm doing a triple bracket, I will set it like out as a two-line sum. So I like to set out my triple brackets. When I'm multiplying by a third bracket, I kind of set it up. This is a bit of an A-level habit though. I'll line up a bit like column multiplication. So I'll do x times by 8x would give me 8x cubed. X times by 22x would give me 22x squared. And then x times by 15 would give me 15x. And then I'm now going to line these up. So minus 3x times by 8x would give me minus 24x squared. Minus 3 times by 22x would give me minus 66x. And then minus 3 times by 45 times by 15 would give me minus 45. I then add up those parts. So I'm going to be left with 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 41x that's 51x and then minus 45. And I find lining it up like that useful, but that's my preference.